Hi, it's Anna Wingate from Northwest Ecclesia. I wanted to talk to you about gossip and trading because when you are gossiping, you are trading on a negative trading floor. You know, you love to hear that, right? And I may step on your toes a little bit today, and for that, I'm sorry right now, but it's not my intent. My intent is to help you have the right tools and the ability to cope in difficult situations, and the ability to decipher when somebody is gossiping to you and not telling you the truth. And what brings this about is last year, how do I put it? Not real full-blown issues, but I saw some misunderstanding between groups of people who consider themselves kingdom people. And I thought, man, if we don't have, the right tools to deal with this, one of these days, something like this could turn into full-blown division or trauma or gossip, for the world to see. And I don't think anybody wants that. So I thought I'd talk about it today. I thought I'd use some experiences in my own life as anecdotes. Couple of scriptures to start with. One of my very favorites, and you've heard me quote it before, Galatians 5:22 and 23. The fruit of the Spirit or maturity is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. That against such there is no law is, if you are mature in operating in those things, you don't have to worry about the law because you're in position and you're in your own lane and doing what God would have you do. But for a little bit of clarity, patience is not the kind of patience that deals with, I'm knitting a sweater and I just have to have the patience to do stitch by stitch by stitch. Or I'm building a house and I'm down to the finished carpentry and it takes forever. This kind of patience is to embrace trials and suffering. It's not fun. In our culture, in North American culture, we try and anesthetize that. We drink, we smoke, we space out on TV, we eat, or as my sister says, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. None of that will help this kind of trials and suffering. What helps is clinging to the Lord. And James 1, 2, and 4 is a real definer of this and may lend a little light to what I'm talking about. Count it all joy, my brethren, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. That was last year for me. My husband has a heart condition. He was in the hospital 7 times last year. And at least 3 of those times, the doctors thought he was a goner. He was done. Lots of convalescing. I walked away from the ministry, let other people in the leadership direct Northwest Ecclesia, which we do it by team anyway. Thank God. There's no senior leader. We have a bench of 3 and a council of 10. And, people step up. Very responsible people. Thank you, Jesus, for that. But I just walked away and took care of my husband for the year. So the only way out is through. It is the refiner's fire. You're going to, I see, it was a terrible time. I see the good it did in my life. And if there can be all out attacks of gossips against you, if you know your identity and purpose, if you know what God has called you to do and to function in, you're highly likely to get at least one go round of this. People just don't understand, are too involved in their own personal issues. And many times it's a case of they want to relieve their own pain and suffering. They feel like a victim. So they want somebody to listen to them, and they don't realize that they are attacking your personal character in the process when they're not even really thinking about it. So I've had 3 rounds of major gossip in my life. The first one was 12 years ago. And I was the director of a nonprofit ministry, of a charity. And another organization wanted to take us over, specifically the leader of that organization. It was bad. It was just absolutely bad. But so was I. I had a stinking attitude. I did play the victim. I was a master at wah wah. Nothing like being a master at wah wah. Sorry, I just offended people that are feeling sorry for themselves right now, but hey, it's true. As the situation ended and time went by and my emotions died down, I realized how poorly behaved I'd been, and that I lashed out, and that I acted like a 5-year-old. And I took it to the Lord, and I repented and said, here's the self-pity, here's the victim spirit, and let him take it. And he replaced it with love, joy, peace. Well, 4 years went by. Here we go again. And again, somebody wants to take over our board of directors. And not necessarily, they just wanted the profits from the organization. They weren't looking to dismantle the organization in the beginning. They wanted to make a buck. So all these lies started about owing money and violence. And this time, I ministered in the opposite spirit. I also realized the spearhead of the whole thing was a very hurting man who'd been through some very severe trauma the year prior. And I don't think he was seeing the forest for the trees for himself either. He was just trying to survive. But I prayed for him. I prayed for God's government for him. I prayed for peace for him and the fruit of the Spirit, and for the peace that passes understanding, and that balm of Gilead on his broken heart. And what happened was, my board of directors, my husband, my friends said, we're so proud of you. We are just so proud of you. We see your growth. We see how you've handled this. And the season ended, and it actually took down our ministry, because this guy went to leaders in the community. He knew the heads of foundations that funded us, and about half of our funding canceled. But I still walked in peace, did a lot of crying, had a lot of prophecy that something else would happen. And it did. Northwest Ecclesia happened. Didn't know it was that then. We were just having home fellowship. It just grew and grew and grew. But God opened new doors. Now, call it divine subtraction, if you will. So then the third round of gossip was last year. And this person is just really immature. I don't think was thinking about consequences. I don't think had an ulterior motive, wasn't looking for control of anything. Just wanted somebody to pin his responsibilities to, and it was me. And come to find out, this man's whole life is lived in a cycle of victimization. He actually feels why am I always the victim? Well, you reap what you sow. And in the process of being the victim, you've gone to somebody else and complained about another person and created another victim. And you reap what you sow. It keeps coming back on you. And he hasn't caught on to that. This time, knowing that goodness meant integrity, gentleness means integrity, second to last one. I went, I'm not going to lie to you, in the beginning I thought, oh, my reputation, here we go again. I thought, but I started going, I whined to my best friend. She listened and listened, put up with me. But as far as the community was concerned, about 3 people know what happened. I just kept quiet. God has a way of fixing it. Just recently, a leader, who I bet you if I said his name, most of you would know him. He's a global leader, came to me and made a comment and said, this man has sat under this teaching for how many years? I'm very concerned about him. When is he going to practice it? The guy knew nothing about what this man said about me. It was great. I thought, thank you, Jesus, because people are seeing the immaturity and the difference is, I think somebody's going to help him. I'm so actually kind of excited for him. Sad that he's in misery because of his own choices, but there could be a great testimony there. So the trading floor is communication. I teach trading differently. For the floor in this case is communication. What are you going to bring to communication? Are you going to bring love, joy, edification? Are you going to bring the 7 spirits of God? Are you going to bring the Spirit of the Lord, counsel, wisdom, knowledge? Or are you going to bring Leviathan and Jezebel for twisted communication and control and manipulation? Think what you're trading into when you have a moment of sorrow or feeling like the victim. Stop, don't talk, wait, and say, what's really going on here? And then if you're the person who is getting the download from the person who's gossiping, same thing. Sometimes it's really hard because you're looking at the person going, this is a Christian leader. They must have refined personal character and they must be telling you the truth. Or, oh, this is my friend. They must be telling me the truth. Well, the trouble with the deceived is they're deceived. Sorry, notification. Anyway, just note to self, turn off your notifications when you do these things. So the thought in your head, take time to think, what is this person bringing? Is this person speaking out of love and joy and peace, or is this person full of self-pity and pain? And it doesn't matter who they are or how highly you regard them. If you're seeing pain and self-pity and a victim spirit, really encourage them to stop. The other thing is, if they're talking about your friends, tell them to stop. Because if you're a friend, you won't listen to somebody cut down your friend. Okay, taking a real quick inventory. I think I've told you everything I want to tell you. Read those scriptures. Take inventory when you're in the middle of a conversation. And here's to unity in the faith. And I'm going to leave you now. I think I need to get my dogs out for a walk before the weather gets bad. Blessings to you. We'll talk soon.